How you doing today, Fabius?
Doing pretty good, Mr. Wonky Kong. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just having some learning experiences with the baby. So we're
I I would bet. Um, I was gonna ask, how is that going for you?
it's going really good. Going really good. It's we're getting into a bit of a rhythm. So that's um it's been interesting. A lot of learning experiences. I mean, we haven't been home super long. We've been home just a week now. So she's in
Okay,
the hospital
just a
for a
week.
while. So we're getting into a uh, good rhythm. And yeah, so we can kind of hopefully I can start doing a little bit more playing, which is my goal. To start trying to get on a bit more.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I know things in my personal life have picked up just a wee bit during this month, as they usually do, and unfortunately, that means that I've had to back off my gaming just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it always gets busier all these times, right?
Yeah, I mean, family, and obviously business and all that other fun stuff. Personal life always takes a massive jump here. So,
Yeah, but all right.
so well, let's obviously most people are used to us doing a podcast, and tonight we decided we would do a surprise stream, right?
Yeah, we thought we could do something kind of fun. So something that's been getting discussed a bit is maps, right? So maps are kind of a thing that now with the new Vassal has a blank map, which you can see here that we got up, and it's got terrain. We can now build new maps. And one of the cool things that they're trying to do is that they are looking at taking submitted maps from the community, and depending on balance and whatnot, they're actually gonna look to include them in the tournament pack. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know many games where they crowdsource maps that or like scenarios or stuff. I mean, Fabius, I know you have some experience with 40K. Is that something they do for their? I mean, I don't even know how they do their tournament table setup at all, to be honest.
Most of their their tournament table setup is stuff that is like actually designed by the Games Workshop, as far
Okay.
as I'm aware. But I know there are some groups out there. I know for a while there was like ITC and stuff like that where they would design their own maps, and
Okay.
they would have done that in the past. But I know recently with 10th edition, they did drop like a full tournament doc where it was, here's like tournament style tables to set up in this style to make it so it's pretty balanced for both players and things like that.
Okay.
So I think it's something they took kind of out of the hands of the players a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I come from the world of War Machine and Hordes where they would essentially like give they called it Steamroller, right? Was their thing. So
Right.
Steamroller, and they would essentially, and it wasn't a terrain setup; it was a scenario setup. So like where scenario elements are, and then terrain was always like at TO's discretion, which
Okay,
was
that
kind of
makes sense.
interesting. So kind of depended on, who you had running the event for for it essentially. So it was
Okay.
kind of an interesting way to do it. But
Okay.
what's cool here is that community stuff. I know there's been a handful of people that have been generating maps. I know I've got a map that I have created and submitted. I know Gamer Dad's got one. I believe
I know
Ronnie's
I've
got a
built.
couple.
Yeah, Robbie's got a few. I know I've built one. I've never submitted any of them, but that's because for like me, my brain, for whatever reason, I look at the maps that I built and I'm just like, yeah, these are fun to goof around on, but none of them really feel like they'd be submit worthy for tournament, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's like there's kind of two mindsets to it, right? There is the idea of okay, do you just generate a map that's got a really strong theme, or right, do you build a map with the kind of the competitive thought process in mind. And I know the one map that I think they use for some of the leagues and stuff, it's definitely been, it was more for the competitive side, right? I wanted to make a balanced map that had choices that felt like it wasn't gimmicky, right? I guess that's probably kind
Right.
of the way to put it. So, because I know you showed me your was it like your arena map or whatever?
Yes.
So like the arena map you had was kind of gimmicky, where it would probably be fun to play on, but there
hmm
really wouldn't be balance
Like, I
from the
think that would be a
perspective there.
great map for like the teams game, right?
Yeah. Oh god, the teams game.
Well, I'm saying like
Um,
for like the multiplayer style games, I think that would be a fun one to throw out for that. But if you threw like my arena one that we had that I kind of designed out in a competitive format,
hmm
I think there would be so many people going, "What the hell is this? How is this even?"
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
I fully agree. Fully agree. So yeah, I think the idea, the intent, I think, is for us to create a competitive map here, right? One that we feel
yeah,
is
I think so.
balanced. So there's a couple of things when I first did my map, which I guess we load it real quick to show.
Yeah,
Maybe we load
sure.
that.
Let's load
Okay.
up your map so that way people can see kind of like your map that you built
Yeah. So
towards that more competitive side.
yeah. So this was my map that I built. So there was a couple of things that I wanted to. I had a couple of like mission. I don't know, say missions or like thought process I went through. So I knew I wanted some tier 4 monsters. Uh, are you okay? You loaded in so you can see the map
Yeah,
now.
I've
Okay.
just loaded in.
Okay. So I
Um,
wanted. Oh,
I'm just looking.
okay.
I'm waiting to see if the stream pops up to this or not.
Yeah, it should have caught up now. Why is that?
Mm,
Okay, I need to
doesn't
fix
look
that.
like it has. Maybe.
I see it on OBS and in the stream, so I think we're good. Okay. So this map, I had a couple of thought processes. The first one being, I think central tier 4 monsters are interesting. They force you to deal with them. They are a good threat in the middle of the table. And it's something that you need to kind of deal with and have a plan for.
Yep.
So I wanted the tier 4. I wanted the kind of, we'll say, scenario elements to be close to each other, but I wanted you to be able to threat from one of them to other ones of them.
hmm
Meaning, is it? There we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So we
alt
have
click here.
we have bottom right shrine here. You can charge to the soul pit.
hmm
Same with your top side to bottom side, and then
hmm
theoretically you can kind of charge between here. I mean, if you have a little bit of speed boost between soul shrine to shrine or soul pit to soul pit. I mean, soul pit to soul pit you can, right? But there's that tier 4. So the idea here was to make scenario elements that were dangerous, right? So you can't
Yeah.
just camp a far back thing. There's threat. There's active engagement from the players, right? Forced engagement.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And then one of the other things I've seen is some soul pits are very, very safe.
Yep.
And I thought to make soul pits dangerous. How do you do that? Put a monster pit literally right next to it.
Yeah.
So if you are, for instance, on top side at this soul pit, you the only way you could, I mean, you could be here in the woods, or here kind of to be safe. Otherwise, you actually have to be up, which is more threatened.
hmm
And you still have a monster that comes up, which means if you're within soul gaze range, you can be pushed onto the soul. So just to kind of make soul gazing like have some risk to it, because I feel like on some maps with like friendly side soul pits, it's like, okay, I'm here. Unless my opponent really pushes into me, I don't like have to do anything, right? I can just
Right.
sit a soul gazer here and pick up a soul. So here, either you need to play Svetlana, who doesn't care about
hmm
monsters, or you have to have a plan. But the monster pit's close enough that it's still part of the action as well, right? So it's
Yep.
and then kind of the other big thing is I wanted like the terrain choice to feel like it really mattered. I know in some of the current tournament ones, it doesn't feel like terrain truly matters, right? The picking top side or bottom side.
Yeah. Some of the
Um,
maps it doesn't.
yeah. I mean, there's like a little bit of benefit depending on what monsters spawn or that kind of stuff. However, on this one, I think there is some very clear advantages for terrain. For instance, top side you've got this big forest in the middle that can block line of sight for some of your stuff, but it also means you don't have line of sight to the tier 4 monster. So if you want to kill the monster, it's more difficult. Bottom side has a little bit of rough terrain around the shrine. So if you, or for instance, you play Gruul, you've got some rough terrain, and then on this far shrine, there's also some rough terrain where you can get some Gruul value around a shrine. And the two shrines actually started as monster pits, and then I'm like, man, 5 monster pits actually seems like way too many. Like,
right.
So I actually swapped them to shrines, and I've played I think 2 games on this. And I know in one of the games, the guy's like, well, I don't have anything to do with this hero. Like, you can't charge anything, you can't do anything, and I'm low on fate. So he actually ran, I think it was like a Sharn or something, over to the side shrine. Because then what's fun is, this shrine can thread this shrine.
Yeah.
And same for here to here. Well, here you have to have Pathfinder. There's a little bit different there. So again...
Well, but I mean, even if you walk twice, you still threaten it.
Well, yeah, but like on the right side shrine, you can actually charge... Yeah. I think their shrine was like right here, and they actually got to charge into what I had on the shrine. So like, there's some risk there. It's not just like, oh hey, I threw this guy over here, and it's like they're completely out of it.
Yeah.
And then obviously from this shrine, right? If you have Pathfinder, you can actually charge from this shrine to their soul pit, right?
Yep.
So I tried to keep some of those measurements like relevant, and that was actually a thing that probably took a lot of time. Is I was actually like throwing models on the board. To like see how far you could charge between things to actually make the charge lanes matter. So, and then I just went with standard effigy position. I know there's been a forward effigy map that's gotten some mixed feedback from people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was my first map, and again, I kind of had a couple of themes in mind, or things I kind of wanted to make feel relevant, and I feel like this map did it pretty good. One thing is I do have kind of nothing down in this corner area, but just with the way that the map is, I don't know if that matters, because you shouldn't be probably fighting down in this area. Like, you might have some charges from this shrine into this soul pit, but I don't know if, like, I don't know. I thought about throwing something down here, but I don't think it matters too much.
I'll be honest with you. In most of the maps I've found, most of your action is going to be not so much, they don't have to be centralized, right? But they're going to be in that middle portion of the map. And when I'm saying middle portion, I mean they're going to be throughout here.
Correct. Yep. Right? That's kind of where
it might be middle left, it might be middle right, but it's still going to be somewhere in this middle area overall.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
If you're fighting near your effigy,
is there a way to clear the clicks?
It should just,
if you
refresh it,
all right, there we go.
Clear them.
All right, because I was like, man, I was like, yeah. So I see what you're saying, right? Like that kind of that middle box area.
Middle fight. Yep. Yeah, you're going to get that middle box area, and that's kind of where your fight's probably going to take place. Because realistically, there are 2 times I've ever found it that I'm fighting near my effigy, and that's one, I'm getting my, I'm pardon my language here, but I'm getting my crap pushed in, and somebody is pushing me back to my effigy.
Yeah.
Or 2, I'm playing Tauren, and because somebody's gotten a couple kills on me, they're pushing into me, and then I'm able with Tauren to fully utilize my Tauren warband bonus of coming back and going, I have 3 actions, bang, 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 with a lot of action.
Yeah.
And going, now I'm back in this game.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's one of those things that having stuff less towards the effigies, I think as a whole is okay, and having things where the fight is going to break out is probably better.
Yeah, it just felt like in the I think it's like the map 1 terrain set for 5v5, like it's so open in the middle that terrain just doesn't impact the game. So I do agree with you. It is kind of that center box, right? Like you said, from like, almost kind of the box I made, right? With like the shrine, monster pit to shrine to monster pit. Like that's kind of unless you have soul pits that are further spread out. That's kind of like your main zone of engagement, kind of is, I guess, how you think of it. So, Okay, so that was the first one I did. And like I said, this one's gotten some pretty good feedback on it, so I've been excited about that because it did take me some time. But
Yep.
Fabius, we are gonna build a map together.
Let's do this.
Okay, what is it?
I'm excited.
Okay, hold on. Do we need to? Okay, file, new game, server. Oh, maps 5v5. There we go. Okay. You might have to refresh because I had to close a new game. Okay. All right.
Yep. I always just plan on syncing to you. And...
Okay, so we should be good now. So we have this blank map. So we have a lot of options. So what is one thing you kind of enjoy about maps or maps you've played on that you think that we should include in our summoned map?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think monsters
Okay.
they make and break interesting maps to me.
Okay.
I love seeing monsters getting into the thick of it and making people have to have a plan around them.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I like monsters that not necessarily on the first spawn, but that like respawn, right?
Yes.
Where like, hey, I just ignored this monster. Like, and you gotta do stuff with it. And I think I agree with you. I do enjoy monsters that are interesting from that perspective.
So I definitely think we need to have, like, I'm a big fan of the tier 4 monsters, partially because, like you said, you have to have a plan of attack when going after them.
Okay.
Because if you don't, as you know, like when I played JT at Warfare Weekend, he took his Brock, went after the Terra that was in the middle of the board, and had to walk then charge after giving him a hunter's knife from somebody else, right?
Yep.
Still didn't kill the Terra, pushed out, and then Terra chucked a rock at him.
So, okay.
And so like that made a big thing.
Yeah. I have an interesting idea.
Okay. Well, let's hear what you got.
You like tier 4 monsters. I like tier
Yes,
4
I do.
monsters.
Are we thinking double tier 4 monster pits?
What I'm thinking is friendly and opposing tier 4 monster pit.
Okay. Okay.
Because we have yet to see a map do this. And what I mean by friendly and opposing, right? So in a lot of maps, you have usually like a 1 through 3 or something. Like on my map, for instance, right? There's the 1 through 3 that's very chargeable from your deployment zone.
Right.
But we have yet to see something like that with tier 4 monsters. And I think that is kind of interesting.
Okay.
So we're gonna throw out some tier 4. So my rough idea, and we'll just randomly throw them to start. So
yeah,
we can kind of do an offset. This is pretty common, like an offset. Like this is what my map does. I think a lot of the maps do offset. Yeah. We could also do a same side, kind of a thing, or we could do like a central.
I mean, honestly,
I think that like that.
Right? I kind of like the idea of a central.
Okay.
Well, and especially if we're thinking effigies are going to be like kind of like the standard in the middle, or even off to one of the sides.
So I would say if we're going to do this, I would not do the standard effigy because it's going to block too much of your charge lane.
And that's fair. So. I was actually thinking an effigy off to the side.
Okay.
Is what I was thinking.
Okay. Do you want them to be like offset on the same side, or do you want them like offset opposite corner? Or are you talking like maybe just a little offset? What about
no? I mean,
or do you want them like full? Because actually, I don't hate just a little offset, like right here where I'm clicking.
Okay. The only thing that I'm curious about with that is, I mean, no, actually, that's fine. Never mind. I think even just a little offset is fine.
So my thought is like this.
Yeah.
Because this would give
you that, actually, because that gives you an escape right out the other side too.
Yep. So it gives you like you can charge from here, you can charge from here. It gives you kind of this way.
Yep.
Okay. So I like this as well. So we'll do an effigy there,
Yeah.
and then should it be directly across effigies, or should we like offset them diagonal?
I think we start with them directly across
Okay.
initially, but we might change that.
Okay. Yeah, because it will be kind of fluid as we start building it too. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got this, and we've got what? So if you go here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's pretty good. That means they're behind the effigy can also charge. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
You have two people that can get hunter's knife pretty easy and pass
Yep.
it off because you're probably going to want a hunter's knife. Okay. Do we
Well,
have these
and
the
the thing
same
that I also
distance?
like is, let's see,
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
So what I really like is also that corner shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have somebody with dash, they still can make that charge too.
Oh, okay. So you're saying from here
Uh-huh.
to
If
here
you
to
have
here,
somebody with dash, you can still
or
make
find
that
a
charge.
path. Okay. Yeah, I like this a
Yeah.
lot then, actually. Okay. Digging this setup.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like we're going to want something in the middle here.
We definitely want something in the middle. The one of the maps I keep thinking back to is where you have the shrine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you had the double gloom
Okay.
that would pop up basically almost on top of it. I always like the idea of giving something to fight over in the middle. I'm not sure if I want to do a shrine in the middle on this one.
Yep. My
But
initial
soul
thoughts, a
pit?
soul pit. Yep. So the thing, yep. So if the idea is to draw people in this line, right?
Yeah.
Then like a shrine you can avoid,
Yep. But a
right?
soul pit, you can't.
That is 100% my thought. So if we put a soul pit on there, you definitely cannot avoid this area anymore.
Yep.
Okay. So I like this idea, right? It's 2 hexes away. But now I feel like we have got to give some sort of protection in this area, though, from like a terrain perspective. Either
Very much so.
some way to either block some line of sight,
Mm-hmm.
or to block, just block some line of sight, block some charging a little bit, something, right? Because we probably want
Yeah.
there to be some engagement between these two things, but like we don't want everything to be very exposed, right?
Right. Yep. Well, what are you thinking?
So I'm thinking of some sort of line of sight blocking, some kind of terrain on top, and some kind of different terrain on bottom that blocks line of
Okay.
sight.
Okay.
So either we can do like a forest.
Yeah.
What actually looks kind of intriguing to me. What is it? I always forget. Is it control arrow? How do you rotate?
Rotating them.
Oh, it's just right, left. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, it's just right, left, and then it's.
Okay.
Yeah. I rotated it, so.
Yeah, no, I think we want to rotate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you rotate it however you want to. I just was.
So I'm thinking something like this.
Okay.
Bare minimum, if not something bigger. Mm-hmm. The idea here being gives you a little bit of line of sight if you charge and you end up like here.
Yeah.
Gives some line of sight blocking, maybe something a little bit bigger, but it exposes this side, right? So if you do that charge from here to here, you have some exposure on this side because I don't want to completely block it off. I want there to be some threat, right?
Right.
It's kind of my thought. Do you think we should go bigger on the forest, or do you think just the little 4 hexer like this is good?
I think for now the 4 hexer is probably good.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm just looking. I mean, the only reason to go any bigger would be if you're trying to cut off somebody from like this end.
Okay.
Doing a walk dash walk, and then being able to take some pop shots or take a shot, okay. Right? Because even if you did, let's see, walk to here with dash, even if you have find a path from there, Alandir would. I'm using Alandir as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Him having range or reach 6 from this corner, he still can tag 2, 3, 4, 5. He can still tag all the way to like here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still a pretty significant threat range. So the only thing I'm wondering is
If
maybe
you
we
want to
need to
block
bring
some of that.
something.
Okay, so maybe
Yeah,
like a 2?
yeah, maybe like a 2 or something.
Something like that maybe? Or do you think
Either
that's then
that or
too much
just
line of sight?
that might be too much on the overall outside, but
Or like here maybe?
either that or here and here.
Oh, yeah, I think okay.
That's about as straight as you're gonna get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that just provides a little bit different of line of sight,
Yeah, like
and
he's
some
still
protection. Okay.
able, because even if you walk dash right, you could still 1 and then 2.
I guess you go
He
in
could
the
still
woods,
shoot
right? Yeah.
right. He could still go into the woods, but
Then if you're
then
in the
he's into the
woods,
woods.
yeah. And this kind of a forest too, because it's not very deep, right? If you're like right here, the
Mm-hmm.
forest doesn't really give you a lot of rough terrain protection, right? Because you can still end
Right.
there. Okay,
Well,
I like
and
that.
my thought is, and this is me thinking already into like turn 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a Thorgar who comes up and kills the tier 4 and goes to level 2. If he's able to do that and then gets to even like here, he can easily walk to here, still pull you to him, and still be like, "Cool, I'm just going to pull you to this side of the forest instead."
Yeah, I think it gets um, the line of sight blocking I think we want, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't provide like I mean it also provides some stealth if you want to sit in it, but it's
Yep.
not deep enough to prevent then that kind of charge into it. So that's good. Okay, I like that.
Yep.
All right, so now I think bottom side we want
Bottom needs
something.
something.
Yeah, what do we want? I mean,
My
we
initial
could
thought is smoke,
we could do
but
like the smoke lava scenario.
yeah.
Something. Oh, I don't know if I want it like that. Let's rotate it.
Yeah.
We could do something like this. Oh man, this thing does not rotate as well.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know if I'm really digging. This thing really does not rotate.
No, it doesn't.
Is there like a
Well, it's one
rotate
of those things
fine?
that,
Oh, shift. Okay, here we go. Shift right, shift
yeah,
left.
shift will give you minor.
It doesn't look like it's actually doing anything. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do something like this. But even, okay.
Well, I think you.
Why is this still doesn't seem like
It's
it rotates
because
right?
you. There you go. Now bring it down where you were having it.
Oh, I don't want it covering the monster pit.
Right, but that's what I'm. You're. It's because it's a 9 hexer.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
I'm sorry, a 7 hexer.
So we could
it's a
do.
7 hexer. So, yeah. I
I don't know
I'm
if I
not
like
sure
that.
you want to do the 7 hexer there though.
Yeah, I'm not liking that.
I think if you're gonna do it, you might have to do something. And if you want to do smoke, you're gonna have to do, yeah, build it out of 2 hex smokes.
What about something like this? Maybe like that?
I don't think that's horrible.
And then I feel like and then I kind of feel like we still need something over here. Maybe like a wall or something, or just some rough or lava. Ooh,
I mean,
that could be
lava
fun.
actually wouldn't be bad over there. I think.
What if we did something? Like that, maybe?
Let's see.
Because then you can go around. I mean, you still have this lane. Because the other option is to make it like dangerous, right?
Mm,
But I don't know if I think the problem with
I
that
don't know.
that
I
might
think you want to give people a reason. Like you want people to go in there, so I don't think you.
yeah, no, I don't like that
I think
either.
you make it. Yeah. Well, and I was thinking, what if you, what
Maybe
if like in the middle, over in this area where you're looking at all the dangers,
yeah.
what if that's where you did this?
My thought was to not block line of sight though.
Oh,
Have
okay. You thought it's just to not block line of sight at all over
it's
there.
it's
Okay.
to have some to kind of slow it down, so like it's not just a flat charge across. That
Okay.
was my initial thought.
Okay.
I mean, we could also do something a little fun. Ooh, hold on.
What you got?
Might, can we do? I'm thinking of something kind of weird.
I mean, I like weird. The pieces don't line up perfectly.
Yeah, I know. I'd like that for like perfectionist to me on this kind of stuff. It's like, all right, okay. What about something like that? I don't know. That seems kind of goofy, but
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know if I'm as big a fan of that.
I'm not.
Cause yeah, I want there to be some line of sight. We want to be able to charge across or do some stuff with it, but I don't
Yeah,
want it to
yeah,
be
no,
just wide open. You know, like there should be a little bit of
mhm,
like make Pathfinder kind of matter a little bit. Because the other option
right.
is to do like a wall of some sort. But I
Yeah.
kind of like the treacherous because you can get free damage out of it, and you know there's going to be some scrum going on. You know, around
Yeah,
that soul pit.
I'm not sure. I will say I'm not sure I like the idea fully of like the treacherous being basically right next to this
Yeah, I mean there's some
because
concern there.
people are going to be in there, but having it like maybe be um like one more over, right? One more set of hexes over.
Yeah, but now you have like a massive charge line, which I guess maybe that's not bad, right? Because you have all this area now to charge.
You do. Um
But maybe that's not the worst idea. Okay.
well, I mean, the thing I'm also thinking about is what if yeah, no. Damn it.
Because I guess maybe before we get too far into this positioning on here is what other scenario elements are we going to want?
Mhm.
Because that might influence how the lava goes a bit too, right?
That would make sense.
Because if it's used to block some movement between here to here, it's probably in a good spot. If it's trying to be
Yeah,
used to block movement from here to here, it's obviously not in a
right.
good spot.
Well, let's talk about this.
Yep.
How many shrines are we going to have on the map?
I mean,
That's
I think we
we
need
know
to
we're going to have
have
shrines.
at least one.
I agree. We need at
Um,
least one.
we need at least one. I mean, we could try and zero shrine map, but that would probably not be the most interesting. So, yeah. So there's some thoughts here, right? We could either do like a central shrine or two,
Mm-hmm.
to make that another point to contest.
Yeah.
Or we could do, where each person has their own shrine.
Yeah.
The own shrine stuff definitely generates a lot more fate. I'm trying to think what the breakdown is of maps that are that way. I
Well,
mean, we already do have a pretty contentious point here, right, with dead middle.
I really like the center, like the middle line shrines.
Okay.
They're bigger bang for your buck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, especially where we're having kind of this central contestation point,
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking at it, and if you put a shrine um, somewhere like in here,
That's kind of where
right?
I was thinking of for a shrine.
Uh huh.
Was
Well,
kind of
yeah,
either that way if we do a midline, probably right around in there.
yeah. I was thinking something along those lines of if you do that, most of your people who have ranged weapons are reach 4.
Mm-hmm.
4 would put them so like if the shrine, let's see, midline wise, if the shrine is here, if they are standing here, they can shoot somebody that is legitimately next to the soul pit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
if
you
you have any
push it
kind of good shooter, yeah.
right, if you push it further out, now they can shoot up to here, this line basically. So they're 2 away. So that's just like something I was thinking about. and it also gives you a reason to take somebody and maybe come out to this outside initially, and then turn 3, make a charge in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But otherwise, the other option would be.
So we could do. One thought is to do one solo shrine, like here or something where it's hotly contested.
Right.
Or we move it away so it's a bit more where whatever goes on the shrine is not have as much value. And I think maybe part of that might be depending on how many shrines we want, right? Because if we do a shrine here, that's pretty hotly contested, we could also do like a shrine over here or something, right? Like I'll just slap one like right here.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit more further out, so it kind of takes you out, right? Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even an Alandir here can only shoot to here, and then because of the lava,
here,
you would have to.
3, 4, 5, 6.
You wouldn't be able to really charge.
If Alandir is still standing in these 2 spots, he can still reach here.
Is it? Did I miscount it? 1, 2, 3.
You counted 4, 5. From that hex.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and
which
I don't want
that's
to.
fine. I still.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing because that still is. If an Alandir is here, it means you want to look at it and go, "Cool, I'm going to be on this side."
Yeah, you just have to be on that side. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, so maybe we do it like this. I kind of like the shrines not being perfectly lined either, because I think this will make some this will be a fun area.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really fun area.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of, but you still have some line of sight blocking, so it's not just free form. Okay. I kind of like this setup.
Now, I'm going to ask, because when you set this up, currently with the way the smoke's set up versus the way the forest is set up, right?
Yep.
Realistically, the tier 4 for the top possibly being stolen, the person's going to have to scoot out this direction to try and do that.
Yep.
Versus the person from the top coming down doesn't.
Yeah, and I think that might be fine because you're going to have to come pretty far up the table. Yeah, I think so. That's one of those things where I like the top and bottom to be a choice. And if you want to be more protective of your tier 4, you're going to want to play top, right? So I think I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's
at least on the initial thought, I think where I like it.
Okay.
Again, a lot of speculation at the moment.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing we haven't even thought about is, are we going to put teleporters on this?
I wouldn't hate to try some.
Well, I mean, you see, that's something we hadn't even talked about yet, right?
Yeah, I think we're starting to come together a bit on this.
I think so.
Okay, so I think we're okay. Now I feel like we're good on shrines. Like I don't think we'd want to add any more.
No, I don't think we need any.
My only thought is to maybe move this over a bit more, but I kind of like the forced interaction here. Like you can get this, you can get this shrine, but it's gonna be a little tight. I think there's going to be a lot of action around that, so I do like that.
I actually really, really dig that because even for a list who is going to play a ranged character, right? You're still going to if you put that ranged character here, here, or here, you're still going to put them at risk.
Yeah.
To people that are coming into this.
Yep.
Soul pit, and I like that. It's good, solid risk for reward, in my opinion.
I agree with you. Okay, so now something that's a little bit interesting. Do we want any more soul pits? Or do we want this to be a single soul pit map? I kind of feel like if we add another soul pit, at least one, it takes a bit away from the danger of these. Because then you're just going to avoid this, right? Because initial thought is like a soul pit over here. But if you do that, then everyone's just going to avoid this after, the first turn.
Yeah, and then they're just going to go fight over there.
And then this feels very dead. Because if you're fighting over on the left side, You're
Yep.
never gonna put something on this shrine.
I 100% agree.
Okay.
I was actually thinking about it, and as much as I would love to add like a second soul pit to this, or even a third soul pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we did add a second and such, I immediately went back to my final game with Robbie.
Okay.
Um, at Warfare, we played on the 3 soul pit with
Yeah.
what, the tier 4, and
Yeah.
then
Tier
the
4 in
1
the
through 3s
middle
or
and
whatever.
1 through 3s. Yeah, on the side.
Yeah, and I mean, having 3 monsters on the board plus 3 soul pits, it's so much to keep track of too.
Okay.
Um, but I agree with. I think we're both on the same page, like you said, that if we throw another soul pit on, it just makes you kind of go, cool. I'll ignore the middle now.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not, and
essentially
that's not
because
what we're going for.
yeah, because the middle becomes so dangerous, right, with the
Mm-hmm.
tier 4s that if
Yep.
all of a sudden you put a soul pit here,
Yep.
everyone's playing in this like over on this side of the map. No one's coming for this at all.
Yep. And then, like you said, no one comes for this at all either.
Yep.
So.
And actually, what's kind of interesting with what we have too is the shrine's interesting because neither tier 4 you have line of sight to if you're on the shrine.
Yep.
So if it once tier 4 walks in here, it's gonna do some blasting.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I like that.
Okay. So then.
What other cover / terrain / whatever?
So I think we should, before we get to there, I think the last thing we need to think about. Okay, 2 things we gotta think about.
Okay.
Is so we got soul pits, we got shrines done. I think we need to look at additional monster pits, and then after additional monster pits, then I think we should debate teleporters.
Okay.
Because I think we should lock in. I think we have some interesting terrain started, but I think we should lock in our scenario elements, and then we want to look at how those scenario elements interact between each other,
Sure.
and then put terrain to influence that interaction.
Sure.
That's kind of my thought process. So, what do you think? Do you think with 2 tier 4 monster pits that we should add more wildness to the map?
I mean, yes, but that's because you know me, I like wildness and craziness.
Okay.
No, I mean, if we're talking from a tournament standpoint, like we said, where we're trying to build a competitive map that actually could go into the tournament scene, realistically, I think if you were going to do it, I like the idea of adding, add a couple more monster pits. But
Okay.
I think you do.
I think
you do them.
I think at most
limit.
I would add 1 more monster pit. I think with 2 tier 4s all the time, I don't know if I would stretch it into a 4th. Okay. Yep.
What I was thinking is, since we're talking about this being such a hotly contested area in here, what if out here, we put a. My initial thought was a 1 to 3.
Okay.
But I actually, the more I'm thinking about it,
Just Inferno.
I mean, either we could do Just Inferno.
That was was my initial thought, to be honest. Is putting Inferno over there.
I like an Inferno over there personally. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I was thinking throw a monster pit over here, and then we throw one somewhere over here. Okay. As well, but make them set, right? Don't.
Yeah.
Like a tier 1, right?
Yeah.
Or
I think
you see what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is if you put one like here, and you don't have one here, I think there's problems there. And then
no, I don't disagree with you.
And 5 monster pits is too much.
Yeah, I don't want to do 5.
With 2 random tier 4s, that's definitely too much. Now, if we're doing 5 monster pits and it's like all 1 through 3s, or a couple of 1s, a couple of whatevers, I feel a bit better.
What if?
But I do 100% like something over here.
Yeah.
Like right here, probably.
Then I would say just do a 1 through 3.
Well, my thought for an Inferno. So let me put the monster pit out here and kind of show what I'm thinking.
Sure.
So a Gloom I don't think is super interesting here. It also
My thought
limits.
was Vujasha.
Was that?
My thought was Vujasha.
Yeah. So I like Vijashas. I like the chaos they bring,
Uh-huh.
but I think with two tier fours that are gonna be pretty active, I don't know if I want to add Vajasha on top of it. But an Inferno's kind of interesting because it can shoot.
Sure.
That was my thought with like if this just being a tier 3.
Sure.
Um I mean it is, 4 agility, 12 hit points, so it takes some effort to kill it, which does mean this shrine is going to be kind of it's going to be dangerous. We'll put it that
Mm-hmm.
way. Right? Because if you're here, an Inferno can walk and do a wield into you, but I guess if you have cover, like it's not as impactful. I mean, you still have to
Right.
worry about it. But like if you're here or here, you're gonna have cover depending on how it moves,
Right. But
right?
then you're
So
gonna
it's
have to use,
dangerous if
like you said,
you're here or here, but if you're on this side, then you're closer to the soul pit and kind of where the mosh pit's gonna be. So that's
yep.
also dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, so
The,
that's at least kind of my thought from that
well,
perspective.
and initially the reason I was thinking about throwing something over in this area as well was just it's something to, if there is a person over there, it's not just guaranteed being able to collect them free fate if
True.
there's a monster that can move onto it. But at the same time, it's far enough away from the rest of the mosh pit that I also don't mind that. The
Yeah,
more I'm
you're
looking
kind
at it.
of depending on the hero you have, right? Like with Aladir, you said you had to be here to shoot to
Mm-hmm.
here. So
Yep.
there's not that many range 6 models. So I
No, I think it's
think
what Alandir and Zaffin.
Zaffin, Ashel, I think is
Ashel is also six.
6.
Yes, Ashel is also six.
So you have three models that are 6.
Yep.
And you are sort of taking them out of the game. Obviously, there's value in generating fate. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
like if you really need fate, you can go grab it, but then you're kind of taking a model out of the fight a little bit to do so.
Yep.
Now, granted, you are kind of threatening, from shrine to effigy, right? So
Yeah.
that is a thing to be kind of cognizant of.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
I
that's
just,
something I was thinking about too already.
yeah. So that's something I think I'm fine with.
Yeah,
Um,
I like
yeah.
adding in. I definitely agree with you. The only reason I was thinking with Josh is, like I said, I like chaos,
Yeah.
and
Well, I think you're going to get some with tier 4. Like,
I think you're going to as well. If you go
okay.
with a full high tier map where it's only an Inferno, and then you're looking at it's always going to be Terras and Canucks that you're dealing with, you're gonna get high chaos.
Yeah. So I think we do an Inferno only. So tier 3 only. The idea here is essentially Inferno.
Yep.
There's no other tier 3 monsters at the moment. I don't know if we'll have any that get introduced during the season.
Yep.
I guess theoretically there could be.
I mean, there could be, but who knows?
I mean, the only one we kind of have had leaked down the pipe is Elgarath, but he's not a tier 3.
No, he's a tier 1.
Yeah, so, because I'm
Oh,
assuming there is a chance for that next year, because we saw some of
I would think so.
that discussion. So, okay.
All right.
So now we're good. I think on monster pits, right? I'm feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, I'm feeling good on that. I think we're good on shrines.
I think we're good on shrines,
And
and I like the position of them too. I kind of like the offset too. That's a little bit interesting with the shrines
yeah,
where they're not.
I think so.
I'm starting to dig things that aren't super symmetrical because a lot of the maps feel
Right.
very symmetrical. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, so now the next scenario, I guess technically scenario element, are teleporters. So this
Okay.
is where we can get kind of spicy,
Mm-hmm.
if we want to. What I've seen teleporters used historically is to like go kitty corner
Yep.
on maps, or to bounce from one side to the other. Because what could be kind of interesting is I'm just gonna kind of throw
Sure.
this out somewhere. Is something like this, where if you had a model on that shrine, you could teleport over to the other side. So one action to walk on, one action to teleport, and then 1, 2, 3. I guess you couldn't walk to the shrine off that, which is probably good. But you could then like shoot if you were a shooter, right? Because you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6.
Mm-hmm.
You could also kind of maybe impact the monster.
Right.
So that's a thought. Otherwise, we could do some like kitty corner stuff where you do something here,
Now,
something here.
follow me on this.
Yep.
In most maps, you're only allowed 2 of them, right?
I don't think there's a hard restriction. So one of the things that we don't currently have is like what the quote unquote terrain pack is with the new terrain that came out. So like we don't have like it's going to be 3 2-hex lavas and 4 2-hex smokes and 4 2-hex rough plus the current 5v5 terrain pack. So like that's one thing that has not been decided on.
Right.
I would assume probably not more than 3. I think there's a few maps I've seen with 3 where you can teleport to any of them.
Right. Well, that's something I was thinking about as well. Is I like the idea of the one over here, kind of next to the shrine, right?
Yeah, this far off shrine.
But then, what if you did something with one of them, like over in here,
and then one up here
across? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't hate that. So you could do something like that, maybe, and then. Well, I think you would want to rotate this guy. I think.
Probably.
So something like.
Because that even still gives somebody an opportunity from first turn, right? If they really, really want to.
1, 2, 3. So you have to double walk and teleport.
Well, it's double walk teleport, or if you have a
dash.
model with dash, 1, 2, 3, 4 dash.
Yep.
Teleport, and then you can walk to get to the shrine still.
That is kind of interesting. I actually kind of like that a little bit.
Yeah, I like the fact that.
I mean, you'd have to have dash. Should we make it so you don't have to have dash to do that? Because we
I don't
could.
think that's a bad thing to do.
Because I'm saying we could, right? Go here and here.
Could do that.
Right? So you don't even have to have dash to do that. And I think that's an interesting play. Because again, it's kind of taking a model, like you're getting Fate, but you are taking a model out.
Now, the other thing you want to be aware of, and this is just something that I'm thinking about.
Can you charge the effigy off of it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2, 3, 4.
No, I don't think so, but I think you can shoot it.
If you're here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, you're 1 hex off.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Which means you also can't charge it.
Correct, unless you start on the teleporter.
Right. Well.
No, it's 1, 1. No, you couldn't. Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Okay.
Yep.
So I kind of like that because then it's not like super diveable on your effigy. It's more for playing around this shrine, or to do a little repositioning and threatening, like, because you could do some stuff where you, like people are hiding back here.
Yep.
And you can come in from the teleporter, and kind of. Yep. Okay, I kind of like the teleporters like that. But yeah, so the teleporter thing, I'm not sure what also,
I was gonna say I also like that because that actually gives somebody a reason to like take and put an Alandir here, right? 1, 2, 3, teleport to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can actually still, if that tier 4 is around, they could try to snipe it. I think it's dumb, but it's something they can try to do.
Yeah, I think
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's got some interesting applications with it, because you could also do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could also, if you're starting on a teleporter, you could also teleport and charge the monster. So that's kind of interesting.
Cool.
All right, I kind of like that. Yeah, but yeah, we really don't know what the terrain stuff is. So the caveat here would be that you would have to have 3 teleporters for a map, which we don't know if that's going to be a thing or not. And maybe what maps get selected for the tournament pool are going to be what determines that. Like, it's kind of a little bit of chicken and the egg, I feel like.
Yeah, it is at the moment.
Like, we don't know what the actual plan will be, but there are some options there. So, okay. So I think we're good on scenario elements. So now I think what we want to think about is how we want the scenario elements to interact with each other and how we want terrain to impact it. Because we kind of feel like the central area feels kind of good. Oops. I just moved that thing.
Yep.
So I feel like the central area is pretty good. But we have a lot of open area here. You know, a lot of open area here. A lot of open area here. We need to get some cover. If we just, I think we need some cover probably in some places. Some stealth opportunities might not be the worst. So maybe a little bit of protection for the effigies. So it's not just such a wide open from the shrine.
It's kind of what I was thinking, honestly.
So, okay. So where, first off, would you like to start on that?
I mean, honestly, I think the best thing to do is give a little protection to the effigies.
Okay. So yeah, we can do that a few ways. We could, use some like rough terrain. I'm trying to think to force I think block line of sight to effigies.
As long as they're a multi-hex one, yes.
Yeah, as long as it's a multi-hex. So we could use a little bit of a forest to kind of do some of that, where they would have to maneuver around the forest. Or we could use, some rough terrain or something, or a little bit of, I don't know, impassable really wouldn't do much there. We could also use the big guy.
Yeah, well, that's something I was kind of thinking about is I think definitely having some actual full line of sight blocking terrain is what we definitely want.
Okay.
But we also have walls that we could use.
We could use walls as well. I was thinking walls on this side.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Is
to kind of mess with the charge lanes or give some cover.
Bingo.
I don't think walls on this side. I think terrain on this side here and here needs to be more for protection for the effigy.
Correct.
It's kind of my thought. So anything that's not doing that probably isn't providing a whole lot of value.
Right.
So that's where actually does smoke even block effigy? Because it's got to be height. I would have to Sandy check the rulebook for that actually.
That's a good question. I honestly think we just go with forest.
Okay.
Because really, if you want to use the smoke somewhere, we could even still use that over here.
Okay. Yeah, provide a little cover, a little bit of treacherous to work around or something.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I don't think that's a bad idea either. So, I think we just use some forest.
Okay.
And
all right.
What I'm trying to think about is
just like randomly.
Remember, yeah, it's like where do you place it and figure it out? And I think one of my biggest gripes, you and I both have talked about on one of the maps, is the one that's got the forest right adjacent to the effigy that just cuts off part of your movement.
Block. So Vassal would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He still can't charge the effigy like that.
Yeah, you'd have to be closer, right?
Well, he
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well,
he would have line of sight from here to here.
Sidestep 1, 2. So it's 1 with the sidestep. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, he can get there.
Okay.
From there.
So you'd have to walk off the shrine. So you could walk charge the effigy.
Yep.
I mean, I think you'd have to walk charge because of the distance anyways, though.
Let's see here. If he goes...
Because if he's here...
Because if he's over here, he's not going to have line of sight. He's got to be here.
Yeah, I'm saying... Okay, I'm saying... Okay, even if he's here...
Yep.
Just counting hexes. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he couldn't even charge it anyways without a walk.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Unless he had boots of
Elvenkind? So let's see. He's movement 3, 4 with dash, 5 with his avatar benefit, 6 with find a path or boots.
Yeah.
Right?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, so you either have to have boots or find a path. And that's where I was like, okay, so he's 3 up to 4 with dash, up to 5 with avatar. Boots gives him 6, or find a path gives him 6. So yeah, with boots or find a path from here, he 100% can still charge the effigy. But that means you've loaded his ass up. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't think that's bad. I mean, the fact that legitimately the character who has one of the biggest movements in the game, if not the biggest, when he's beefed out, has to have all of that to be able to, from this shrine, make a full charge to the effigy. I don't think that's bad.
Okay. And it's a walk charge too, right? So
yeah, it's okay. A walk charge, which means.
But yeah, I mean, it just kind of means this forest isn't super relevant then, right? Because it's a distance thing. It's not a line of sight thing.
Well, but it stops shooting too.
True.
And that's part of it, because in 5s.
Yeah, because if you were here, you could walk 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's still 6 though.
Yeah, but think Alandir. Alandir could walk and still shoot the effigy twice at that point. So it's one of those things that just, like, having some of that line of sight blocking is still beneficial.
Yeah.
Because even if he has to walk from here, right, 1, 2, 3, dash to here, he still can shoot the effigy twice. But that's a kicker then, because then they have the ability to still find a way to get health back or put something else on it, possibly.
Okay.
So I don't think that's bad. I mean, if you want to shore that up, that's really easy. You throw another 2 right here. But I'm not worried about blocking it entirely. I just want to cut off. I want people to have to think about it, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if that's not bad on the top side, then we got to do bottom. So we can do a similar kind of forest setup.
Did you find out about smoke?
I gotta I gotta look at the rules quick, because I know forest too, because the height.
Right. Well, while you're doing that, let's see here. We were talking about that AR. I'm gonna pull out walls, just because we were talking about them for the one side as well.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask, do you want to include one straight, one curved?
I mean, I would not include more than one of each, because we know that's like the current terrain set. So I would not.
I was curious.
Yeah, I wouldn't include more than one of either one of them. I don't think we have to include both.
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think.
Okay, where's smoke here? Okay, so just. I mean, it does say block line of sight between 2 miles to target each other. See line of sight below. I thought there was like a height thing, or is that a holdover from V1 and I'm just losing my brain?
I mean, effigies do have a height value.
Yeah. Okay.
I just don't remember if.
Yeah, it says the same height. So where was the? Okay. So what's the height of smoke? Height. Okay, smoke and forest are both 4. So smoke would also block line of sight.
So smoke will also block. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But we are already using two hex smokes. I don't know how many smoke hexes there are going to be in the terrain kit.
Right.
So I don't know if we're gonna have four of them. I mean, it is a possibility.
Right.
Not to say we should limit that, but is
Yeah.
a thing to think about. So we could
I
just
mean,
use.
we know we are going to have more forest.
Yeah, correct. Because there are it's like 3 4-hex forests, and I think it's like 6 2-hex. So we
Yeah.
could do just a similar 4-hex forest, or maybe position slightly different or something.
I think we do a similar one, but we position it slightly different. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe
Is like
something like this.
horizontally. But you need to. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. I'm just doing some calculation real quick. Let me grab Vassal boy.
Yeah.
So from there, he walks 1, 2, 3. Then he can still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 charge. Okay. Because if he's there, does that corner? I don't think that corner has line of sight. So he has to walk.
You have to
charge.
walk still, yeah. Well, and
Yep.
again, part of that's the distance, so I think that just adds a little bit of
Well, and
wrinkle
that's
to it.
why what I'm doing is I'm checking from this side here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because from here, he also does not have line of sight to the effigy.
Yeah.
So he still has to walk charge from there. He can do it from here. Now my question is, can he do it from here? Line of sight to there to there. I think he's got it.
But he does not have the distance. There's no way he has that distance.
1, 2, 3.
So
4,
1, 2,
5,
3,
6,
4,
7,
5,
8.
6, 7, 8.
He does if he's beefed out again. That's what I was curious about.
Okay. That's probably.
If he's got everything like we talked about, he
Yeah,
still
which.
has the distance.
Yeah, you still have to
and
find a
that's
path,
okay.
though, right? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's find a
Yeah.
path or boots.
Yeah, and you also have a Fazil on a far shrines here.
Well, right, but
Yeah.
like that's the point that
Mhm.
I'm thinking about here is that if he's still fully beefed out in that way, you're not taking boots of agility on him,
Yeah.
or you are, and you have a
And you don't have a
Gendrous.
Vorpal on him or Shredder because you have to have
Right. Well,
boots of
unless
yeah.
you have Gendrous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have.
And it's
those
not like
things
he can
on
decap
him.
or anything the effigy. That's probably pretty fine, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's perfectly
All right.
fine. But that was my main concern: was can somebody like Fazil get there? And the answer is yes, but with XYZ conditions.
Yeah.
So then I'm perfectly happy with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a
Um,
pretty.
Now my question is, shooter wise. Let's see. They still have to walk, and then they can still shoot the effigy twice, and that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, it gives you the same benefits
Okay.
either way. So I think that's great. Um. So what are we gonna do now over here?
Yeah, I've been trying to think.
Because I mean, I'm
Um,
trying to think about that as well, and I don't know.
Yep, that is where I'm at. Um, we could make the Inferno very dangerous by giving the Inferno cover.
I mean, I thought about that at one point.
Like, we could do something weird. So, do we feel like one of the sides has an advantage currently?
Currently, I think
I feel like if you have Pathfinder, top side's a little bit better because you
if you
can
have
play in the
Pathfinder,
forest.
well, I think there's two things. I think one, if you have Pathfinder,
And
the
obviously,
top
which
side's a little
monster you
better,
get randomized to.
right?
That'll probably be
But
a bit of a...
I also think top side once again still has a um, slight benefit at stealing the monster a little easier too.
Okay.
Just because, like, doing the calculations, right? Even an Alandir,
Mm-hmm.
and I use him just because he's reach 6. If he's here and he walks 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, he is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away from that
Yeah.
monster. So I mean, they've got to leave it on like, 2 or 3 health, and he's got to crit it, or
And then as
they're
soon as
gonna
it
have
doesn't get pushed.
right. They're gonna have to leave it super low,
So
and it's still there. but it's still a thing that you and I have both seen happen
Yeah.
occasionally. Whereas I think for bottom,
So
them 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, they can do it. They can still shoot that one, but I mean they've got the dangerous terrain protecting them a little bit more.
yeah. So I kind of, because
So
then
I don't know.
I want the Inferno to be more difficult for top side then, to give bottom side some more advantage. If you think top side, so something like this maybe gives you some cover. But I guess then you have, what's interesting there is it makes the Inferno harder to deal with, but then
But
you
it also
have
makes,
really good cover to impact from here to the shrine.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. My other thought is straight up do something that we've seen done on a map before and use this.
Oh, with the
And we just,
Inferno.
yeah, we just don't drop a wall. We just drop the smoke instead. And you drop him in the smoke pit. Like, actually put him in the smoke.
Yeah, he's in. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta go down one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. That way it's like nobody can shoot him.
Yeah.
Top side has that dangerous terrain they have to deal with. And it's something you have to think
Mm-hmm.
about for turn 2 now,
Okay, I
basically.
like that. I actually like that a lot. Okay.
Because then it also
Uh,
gives you a slight break in a way.
yeah.
Well, it gives you a slight break, but it doesn't, right? Because now you know the tier 4s are more than likely going to come back on turn 3. But then you have to be watching for that tier 3 to be coming back possibly on like turn 4.
Yeah. Okay. So we still think. Okay. So then I kind of like something like this. I think.
I, I think I
Give.
think that actually is pretty solid.
Because I think that gives bottom a bit more defense. Um.
Because top can just run behind the forest and not give a shit.
So I kind of like the wall there. It lets you kind of have stuff in this area that can impact here, kind of, but there's line of sight, right? So like if I'm here and I'm trying to
Yeah.
shoot the soul pit, like stuff over here I can't shoot. Okay, I kind
Well,
of
if you're here, you can still shoot here and here roughly,
yeah, but here
and
you can
shoot
be
here.
here and be
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of like that wall there. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we need anything else? One thing I kind of was thinking.
Yeah. What you got?
Where'd it go?
What are you looking for?
Like maybe giving topside
Ooh.
a little bit of
Yeah, we
cover
hadn't even thought
with the
about
tier
impassable
4.
terrain. We hadn't even thought about impassable on either side.
Yeah, I feel like impassable is one of those things that it's kind of funky because it provides cover, and but like because it's only a single hex, it never blocks line of sight, so it gets a little bit weird. Um, the other thought is we can use impassable to block shrine locations.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we want to get real spicy,
What you got?
you can do this.
Oh God.
So you have to go dangerous side. The only thing is with a wall here.
Yeah.
So then I think this would have to come down a little bit if we want to do that. Because I don't
Either
think
that,
we're gonna want to give like super cover.
either that, or I think you have to switch to this wall here. Um.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. I like that. I think.
Yeah.
So I was trying to move
Trying
it
to
as you
move.
were trying to move it.
Yeah, we're both trying to move it.
So this is kind of funky. I don't know if I like this or not. I think I would have to play with it, but but yeah, essentially impassable terrain. You can use to like block specific hexes you want off and provide cover, right? That's really what it does because it will never block line of sight.
Right.
So that's where like we could do something funky like that, where like it would make it so you have to be more exposed to get value, but
That also, I mean, that also cuts off that Inferno a little bit more.
It does. It also makes it more difficult to deal with the Inferno as well, but it's kind of intriguing because
Yeah, I mean,
it really does make that shrine pretty hotly contested.
yeah.
Like I don't know, it's interesting.
But yeah, I definitely think if you're gonna do that, you need to switch to the curved wall anyway. Then.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the double impassable there. Um, I liked where your head was at before too, with having an impassable up
Just
in the
somewhere in
middle.
the back so you have a little bit of cover if you want from the tier 4. So like you can kind of bait it back and try and, gamble with cover was kind of my thought.
Yep. Yeah, and I didn't dislike that either. Um, so I think both those would be good options for both sides, right?
Yeah, because it
Either one.
feels bottom is a little
Go
bit
ahead.
more exposed with their
I
random.
think bottom is definitely more exposed. And I definitely I like the fact that the tier fours
Hmm.
are even as close to the effigies as they are.
Yeah, that
Because it,
was a slight concern of mine. I don't know if like effigies being attacked by monsters is good.
I don't think it's going to happen though, because you're almost always going to have a hero that's closer, I think, with the way the map's set up.
Probably, I think you're right.
I mean, it's definitely something we're gonna have to play test and find
Hmm.
out.
Yeah, I think it definitely is gonna need a couple of games on it because this is kind of an intriguing idea with impassibles. I don't think it's been done before.
I don't think so either.
So I think testing that out because usually it's around the 7 hex thing, but
Right.
it's like just to add a little bit of extra cover there.
It, and impassibles, they don't block line of sight, right? You
Correct.
said?
Single hex pieces of terrain can never block line of sight.
Huh.
So unless they made a 2 hex impassable, which isn't currently the case, it's 2 single hex impassable pieces.
Okay.
So that
Huh.
would not block line of sight.
Interesting.
You just if you didn't have flight, you could not go through it. It does
Right.
also really block charging from here to here as well. Because you have
Yep.
treacherous and line of sight. You would have line of sight, but you can't go through it. So if you want to go through it, you got to go through treacherous. So it
Yep.
does kind of block
Yep.
that up.
It definitely gives pieces that fly a benefit there, and I
It
like
is.
that.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Like I actually like that because then Isabel becomes a little more
So if
intriguing in that
you
point. You know, freaking uh why can't I think of her name now? Nephany becomes way more intriguing. This was my next question though, is how abusive can Lori be with a grenade?
I mean, always. I mean, you have less hexes you can put it, right? Because you're gonna have 2 hexes
Yeah.
you can't put it on, and from here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So she can shoot to her side of it. I was more looking for anyone that's reach 4 on their gun, right? So Lori
Yeah,
Bella,
no, and that's fine. I'm just
um,
thinking also
like
with her because she has
Gendris, etc. So
yeah.
you'd have to be a reach 5 gun to hit the other side. So right, it's one, two, three.
Mm-hmm.
It's one,
And
two,
Kogan
three, four,
at
five.
Kogan at level 2 goes to reach 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
The
good.
reach 5s are like Stariel, Zib, Maltique,
Maltique.
but
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
there's so much cover here
Yeah. I mean, it's one of
that
those
you're gonna
things
lose
that
a lot of dice unless you can ignore cover, which there's not many that can.
yeah, there's not many that can do that. So no, I like, and the other thing I like about this is like even if you like with the positioning you did with Lori there, right? You can't get her there and then be like, I'm gonna throw a grenade here to
Hmm.
push somebody out.
Yeah, you'd have to bring her up, but granted, this is a pretty safe spot, right? You're gonna have cover from like
Yeah.
here, 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 like
Right.
you have really good cover from all these spots. Doesn't mean you can't be
100%.
attacked. And she's only
Well,
AG3, but
she's only Agi 3, and how much does an Inferno love a Lori?
I mean with cover, she's not in the worst shape. But
I mean, it's still only one dice he's losing, so he's still throwing 4 dice. Because if he's there, if he's here, more than likely he's gonna get to her.
Oh yeah, it is magic,
So,
not RNG. Okay.
uh-huh. So, and even in his melee, I'm saying he's still only losing one die.
Yeah.
So he's still throwing 4 dice on average, and then he's so it's one of those things that I think it's a good option because you can get up there and you can do it, but it's a gamble
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
And that's I think that is one of the things that makes competitive maps good is you have things that you can do, but they're still a gamble, and you still have to think about those odds and play to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. Well, let's save this bad boy, I think. Unless you think there's any other terrain we should add.
I don't think so, honestly. I think this is a good starting point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a good starting point to test it out and see how things play.
All right. Let's see here. File, save game. This will be a summoned map 1 v1.0.
Heck yeah.
All right. All right, cool. So I think that will kind of be our stream here. So we will, I'll upload this to YouTube, and then I will post the map into Discord so people can play it, try it out. It's definitely interesting.
Most definitely.
It'll be interesting to get some feedback on it just from like the picture of it itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I should move this token so it's easier to read.
Mm-hmm.
Because, smoke.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Okay. Okay, swap team. I want to be observer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Save game as.
And then while you're doing all that, to let everybody know, obviously myself and Wonky Kong took a small break from the podcast as we mentioned at the start of the episode here, or the stream. But we are getting back to it as life is calming down a little bit for us. And looking to, I think, try to do a dojo episode next. Is what we had kind of talked about, right, Dave?
Yeah, I think we'll maybe try and figure out some warbands.
Figure out a couple warbands that we can then use to maybe test this map ourselves, see what we think. So that should be coming here in the next little bit, hopefully. And I know, as obviously, Dave, you've got the little one now, so that we're gonna have to be a little more flexible. But it's good. I'm very glad that she's home. I'm sure you guys are, because being in the hospital is never fun.
Yeah, it was not great.
Yeah. But as always, guys, we have our email, which is thesummonedpodcast@gmail.com. And obviously you can reach us in the podcast and streams channel by tagging us. If you have any other interesting thoughts about the map, please feel free to share them. We would love to hear them. If you playtest the map, please give us some feedback on it. We would love to hear that as well. And if there's any burning questions in your mind, especially with the Discord being as hopping as it has been with new people jumping in and events getting kind of set up, it sounds like, please send them to us, link it to us in the podcast and streams. We're more than happy to answer them, and through our podcast and obviously through some more VODs, because hopefully we're going to get rolling on those here soon. So,
all right.
Any final thoughts for you, Dave?
No, pretty good. Seems like kind of an interesting map.
Definitely.
Kind of funky.
It's kind of a funky chicken. So, all right. Well, from myself, Fabius Bile, and I'm going to say we'll see you later.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one, everyone.